Okay, hi. How are you? This is going to be an update on living life in Bulgaria. Uh, Before I start this video, I do want to mention there's going to be a lot of Christian content. I'm going to share with you my spiritual walk. So if you aren't a Christian or you feel uncomfortable when people are referencing the Bible or things like that, then feel free to stop the video right here. So it's year 3 in Bulgaria, and I am feeling something. I just didn't know what it was. Like I was not happy, but I wasn't sad. There have been things that have been very frustrating this year, extremely frustrating this year. But I couldn't say that I was necessarily angry either. I didn't want to use the word depressed because depression can mean a lot of different things for people, and I didn't want to make people worried that I was falling into a depression, because honestly there was a certain contentment that I felt. So I couldn't say that I was truly depressed the way some people might be. But I was also feeling nostalgic in a certain way. So the first year and the second year that I was living here, I wanted to go home so bad. Like I was just in a culture shock. I wasn't connecting with Bulgarian culture. I missed my home. And this year, I don't. We're at the end of May, and I don't miss my home, which bothered me because I want to miss my home. I want to still be part of my home community, and every year I feel further and further away. This year I felt so far away that I didn't miss it. I don't miss America, and that bothers me. So anyway, so all these mixed feelings going around, and then this morning I was reading in Lamentations, which, if you're not a Bible reader, Lamentations is the chapter in the Bible where Judah, the God city, I mean, in the Old Testament, we're following Israelites who became Jews, and so they're God's people. And as we're following them along, their city, their promised land, got taken from them, and they became slaves. So if you're looking for happy, warm, fuzzy thoughts, then I would recommend you go to the New Testament and learn about how Jesus died for our sins. But if you're looking for sadness and grief, then you can take a look at Lamentations. So I was reading Lamentations today, and I was reading chapter 3. And let me just share a couple of verses with you. I won't read the whole chapter, but just a couple of verses with you that really hit me hard. So the first verse says, I am the man who has seen affliction under the rod of God's wrath. He has driven me away and forced me to walk in darkness instead of light. Whew, hit me really hard there. Yes, he repeatedly turns his hand against me all day long. It keeps going. I mean, for about 20 verses, it talks in this sort of way. He's worn away my flesh and skin. He's shattered my bones. He's encircled me with bitterness and hardship. He's made me dwell in darkness like those who have been dead for ages. Yeah. He's weighed me down with chains. Verse 10, he's like a bear waiting in ambush. Verse 13, he's pierced my kidneys with his arrows. This one I really like, among the last ones, 16 through 18. He ground my teeth on gravel and made me cower in the dust. My soul has been deprived of peace. I've forgotten what happiness is. Then I thought my future is lost as well as my hope from the Lord. So, I mean, for those of you that don't know, of course, I moved to Bulgaria to fight human trafficking, but I moved here because I felt God called me here. And especially that last verse, then I thought my future is lost. I came here with a spiritual purpose. The reason I feel drawn to stay here is a spiritual purpose. But in spite of that, I still have, physical needs, mental needs, things like that. And so I'm thinking to myself, a lot of the time, this is not a place to make money. My future is lost in some ways, in regards to like saving up for my retirement and things like that. I'm feeling like I'm sort of dooming myself. I tried to apply for a better job here to earn more money, but then I felt God telling me, no, that's not your purpose. You can earn more money when you go back to the United States. And so I just feel trapped in a way. And it's so frustrating because I feel like my future's lost. I feel like there is darkness all around me. I'm not talking about Bulgaria as a culture. I've begun to get used to it. But I feel like I can't go to America. I feel like I can't go back home yet. It's purely spiritual reasons. I feel like God hasn't called me to go back. And so I feel like I'm stuck here. But it's just exhausting. Because everything I do at this school that I'm working at, which I feel like God wants me to stay at, it's been exhausting this year. Been so exhausting. The Roma kids, we keep trying to get this land, we keep trying to help them, and every time there's just something else. We've been trying to get this land, we finally got this one piece of land, and for weeks, for months, we've been trying to sign papers, and every time we go in to sign papers, there's something else that has to be done. It's exhausting. It is absolutely exhausting, and it feels like I'm surrounded in every way, and I'm trapped, and my future is lost. So that's how I've been feeling this last year. I feel like my happiness is gone. I've forgotten what happiness is. I don't feel sad or angry or depressed. I just feel like the absence of happiness, which has been just really hard. Again, there's happiness, there's contentment or joy. Okay, so happiness is more of a feeling, whereas content and joy is a deeper thing. So I don't feel like I've lost my contentment or my joy, but I feel like my happiness, that emotion of feeling happy in general, has been gone, and it's just been exhausting, absolutely exhausting. So that's how my year's been. Here's my hope, because the chapter, fortunately, doesn't end there. In fact, the chapter is talking like this for 20 verses. The whole chapter is 46 verses. So for 20 verses, it's sort of this feeling of downness. And I do believe that, they use words like God has surrounded me in darkness, or he's ground my teeth in gravel. I don't feel like God actually does that. I think this is a picture that they paint for us. The author is painting for us of how he feels with God right now. I don't feel like God actually does that. I feel like he allows the darkness of the world, to happen to people he loves to help them grow. And it says here in verse 21, "Yet I call this to mind, and therefore I have hope. Because of the Lord's faithful love, we do not perish, for his mercies never end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness." I love that. Because it reminds me of something that I forget. It reminds me that every morning he's given me a new mercy. He's given me something new to be grateful for, because I deserved one thing, but instead he gave me another. And it's really encouraging, because I sometimes forget that. It says later on, "The Lord is good for those who wait for him, to the person who seeks him. It is good to wait quietly for deliverance from the Lord. It is good for a man to bear the yoke while he's still young. Let him sit alone and be silent, for God has disciplined him. Let him put his mouth in the dust. Perhaps there is still hope. Let him offer his cheek to the one who would strike him. Let him be filled with shame. For the Lord will not reject us forever. Even if he causes suffering, he will show compassion according to his abundant, faithful love. For he does not enjoy bringing affliction or suffering on mankind." And again, I don't believe that he does bring affliction. He allows it. But, besides the point, I feel like my time is to wait right now. To just wait for his deliverance. Because I really do believe that he loves me so much. He loves me like a parent loves his child, or her child. And sometimes the parents know what's best for the child, even if the child doesn't think so at the time. Going to bed early, eat your vegetables, don't eat candy for breakfast, stuff like this. The kid doesn't realize how good it is for him. And I feel like that's what God's doing with me right now. I don't feel it. I believe it. I absolutely believe it, because every time I go through a struggle in life, I think I know what's best, and then He plucks me out and He puts me in the place I need to be. And afterwards, I'm so grateful. When I graduated college, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I was going to stay in Walla Walla, this little town in southeast Washington. I was going to get married to this girl I liked in college, and that was it. That was the extent of my dream, and I thought that was it. I thought that was my purpose, and God had something else. He plucked me out. The city outright rejected me. I mean, I graduated. I didn't get a job in any of the schools, and there was just nothing for me to do in the city. People that I knew, including the girl I knew, ended up leaving the town, and so I mean, I felt like I was being rejected in that season, and I didn't like it. I didn't like that feeling, but God knew what was best for me. He pulled me out of that. He put me in a mission trip to Guatemala. He taught me how to listen to Him, and next thing I know, I've got a dream and a passion for building schools. Now, I've still not begun building schools. I don't know when that is, but that passion has allowed me to change my dream. Again, I'll get stuck in an idea and I'll think I need to do this. As soon as I got back from my mission trip, I'm like, all right, I'm going out in the world and I'm going to start building schools. And God was like, no, not yet. And He gave me the best 8 years of my adult life in a beautiful community in Bellevue, where I got to learn how to be around international people while still being in my home city. Now I'm here in Bulgaria. I don't know what He has called for me for. If I'm supposed to start schools here, if I'm still learning and growing. But I know He doesn't want me back in the States right now. I know He wants me here. And so even though it's painful, it is encouraging to know that He has plucked me out of my idea, my comfort zone, my thoughts, and He is putting me in a place that eventually I'll appreciate and be grateful for. So that's my update on how I've been doing. I do apologize. I feel bad. I don't feel bad for you guys, because I'm sure, and I'm talking mostly to my American community, friends, family, students, parents. I'm talking to you guys mostly because I don't see you a lot. So I feel bad. I know you guys just go on and live your lives, but I don't do a good job of opening conversations up and just talking with people randomly. And so I feel like I'm knowing you less and less, and I don't like that. I want to do that more, so I apologize for me and not doing that. But I want you to know that I do think about you a lot, often, way more often than maybe I should. But when I'm teaching a class and I see a student responding a certain way, I do think of you students back in America and how you used to respond when you were in my class. And when I'm hanging out with friends, then I think of my friends back in America and what we might be doing, playing board games or our small groups. And I always think of my family way a lot. And I just want you guys to know I do love you and I miss you, and I'm really sorry that I'm not a more active person in keeping in contact with you. So anyway, I'm going to stop right now because I don't want to babble on and on. Thank you for listening, and hopefully this is giving you a better picture of my update here. I'll try and do this a little more often, I guess. But yeah, I'll see you later. Bye.